know, let's talk about the single most common piece of advice you have ever received. The one we've all been told to build our entire lives and careers on. Right from day one, it's just drilled into us. Have a 5-year plan. Stick to the roadmap. And whatever you do, for the love of God, don't quit. I mean, it's pretty much the gospel of modern success. But what if that grit, that commitment we're all supposed to admire so much, what if it's actually a trap? What if in a world that is literally changing by the second, sticking to the plan is the fastest way to make yourself obsolete? And that gets us to the most dangerous advice you can possibly follow right now. See, the real risk isn't not having a plan. It's having a plan that's so rigid, you become blind to the world changing right in front of your face. True stability, real security, it doesn't come from a fixed path anymore. It comes from your ability to pivot. And the number one enemy of the pivot? It's this right here, the fixed mindset. It's that little voice in your head that whispers, nope, this is who I am, this is the plan we made, we can't change now, it's too late. It's like throwing down an anchor when what you desperately need is a sail.
So, okay, how do we build that sail? Well, Sun Tzu's first lesson is all about mastering your terrain, and he's not just talking about hills and rivers, it's about learning to read the room on a massive strategic level and understanding that different situations demand a totally different version of you.
Let's make this real. Okay, imagine you're pouring your heart and soul into a new startup. If you suddenly realize you're on difficult ground, like a market that's clearly dying, the right move isn't to work harder, it's to get out. But if you find yourself on intersecting ground, a conference, a place full of amazing connections, your only job is to build bridges. And if you end up on death ground, you're out of cash, your back is against the wall, well, that's when you fight with every last ounce of your being. And here is the fatal mistake that so many of us make. We use the wrong energy for the terrain we're on. You show up with that panicked fight-or-flight energy to a networking event. You're gonna fail. You try to politely collaborate and build consensus when your company is about to go under, you're also gonna fail. See, real flexibility is about choosing the right response for the moment you are actually in, not the one you wish you were in.
Now, this leads to a really radical idea, especially for those of us in modern corporate jobs. It's the idea that sometimes the most loyal, the most responsible thing you can do is to disobey the plan. Why? To protect the mission.
Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't about causing chaos or being a rebel for the sake of it. It's about a higher kind of responsibility. It's about having the clarity and, frankly, the courage to see when the instructions you're getting are about to lead the entire mission right off a cliff. And this sovereign, it isn't some ancient king on a throne. No. In 2026, your sovereign could be your boss who's clinging to a strategy that just doesn't make sense anymore. It could be the status quo, the way we've always done things around here. Or, and this is the really tough one, it could be your own ego, so attached to the brilliant plan you created, even when you know deep down it's failing. To know when to pivot, you have to be able to see the world clearly. And that means stripping away the emotional high of a big win and the crushing low of a big loss to see what is really there. Sun Tzu calls this seeing both the advantage and the disadvantage in every single moment. So this means when things are going great, you don't just pop the champagne and celebrate. You have to ask, okay, what's the hidden risk here? Are we getting lazy, complacent? And when you fail, when you get totally knocked down, you don't just wallow in it. You ask, where is the hidden opportunity? What is this failure trying to teach me that I'll need for whatever comes next? But in the end, Sun Tzu argues that the greatest battles we fight aren't external. The things that really stop us from being flexible, from adapting and thriving, they're our own internal flaws. He actually identified 5 personality traps that absolutely destroy leaders. Just look at this list for a second. There's the martyr, who's so reckless in their search for glory they get taken out. The coward, who is too afraid to risk anything real and gets captured by mediocrity. The hothead, so easily provoked, so easily manipulated. The ego tripper, whose honor is so fragile they just shatter at the first sign of criticism. And the over-caretaker, who's so worried about what everyone thinks that they can never make a hard but necessary call. Be honest, do you see yourself in any of these? Look, at the end of the day, we can't just hope for the world to get calmer. We can't wish for the markets to be stable or for our jobs to be safe from disruption. It's not going to happen. Real security doesn't come from a predictable world out there. It comes from your internal readiness to meet an unpredictable one head-on. So I'll leave you with this one thought. The plan you have right now, it will probably fail.
The terrain you're standing on, it's going to shift. The people in charge will give you bad orders. So the question isn't if the world will change. The question is, when it does, who are you willing to become?
Subscribe for daily wisdom.